Welcome to the Notifiarr tip video number 1. Notifiarr I covered in the trash guide, even though I feel perhaps it should have had his own video, but because it's pretty well linked to the trash guide, I kind of slapped it in one thing. Now, obviously, Notifiarr can do more by the name. It's a notifying app, but it does have the integration called Trash Guide Sync. So in addition to Discord webhook notifications of the syncing that's being done. What that means, long story short, is if there's syncs happening, it sends messages to a Discord server of your choice, which is required, that sends, notifications that, hey, we added this to your radar server and sonar server. And remember, we added them underneath the Notifiarr client. This is the notifiarr.com website, which is where the syncing is done. The client is run on your host machine, and you set up radar, 4K, and all that on there. But anyways, actually, perhaps I might want to show that over here. So I might want to kind of show you guys the client side of it, and I probably will. But again, I don't know if you recall from the Notifiarr video. So this is the Notifiarr client. There's STARR apps, there's media apps, snapshot apps, file watcher, there's service checking, triggers. There's a lot of stuff here that I haven't even touched. So it would be unfair for me to say that even my Notifiarr video is all about Notifiarr. But once you set up your instances and API keys for the client, you can then start setting it up in the trash guide. Now, I don't believe in that video I covered 2 instances of it, but when you, for example, hit radar and you take a look at, let's say, anime, right? You start seeing 2 instances of radar 4K and radar HD. So again, that's all based off of here. These are the namings, right? So it can pick up the instances from, your STARR apps. So Notifiarr client has deep integrations with the whole suite of STARR apps. So one thing I wanted to cover that I wasn't able to was the whole concept of sync, the sync tab. When I first started, I had no real understanding of what the hell, looking at this table, I kind of shat myself, I'll be honest. And then I'm like, what the hell? And then seeing all these complex options, whoa, what the hell's going on? So even though this is a Notifiarr tip video, I'm going to kind of re-explain certain things that was in the trash guide video. Just because I figured, hey, if you watch the Notifiarr and trash guide video, may as well explain it here too. One of the things that I really want to explain is sync tab. What does a sync tab mean? Well, if we take a look, there's all these levels of custom formats. Okay, these are custom formats created by the trash team. And if we click on, let's say, for example, DVHDR10, and we click this little view trash info, it will pull up. Notice this page right here, first of all. Collection of custom formats. So read this. Special thanks to everyone at the trash team. These custom formats have been collected from discussions on Discord or created with help from others. So after requesting with Team Radar, we now have the option to export the custom formats in a JSON format. How incredible is that? And so remember that when you're setting up your quality profiles, right? When you're setting that up, if you have Notifiarr, you can ignore these first 2 sections. But, if you want to read it, you can. But when you're setting it up, you are essentially importing the JSON into the custom format tab of radar and sonar. But Notifiarr takes care of that for you through this interface. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'm seeing 2. Let's just blow this up. Let's really blow this up. Take a look at Dolby Vision here, for example. So the way Notifiarr works is it's usually blank, okay? So first of all, if you want a custom format, now here's the name of the custom format, Dolby Vision, and usually it matches the name under trash guides, right? Because trash guide is the source. So let's see if we can find Dolby Vision. Somehow I missed it. There it is, Dolby Vision. See? And, you can read some notes about, and on what exactly this is doing. You can see the regex commands of what it's trying to do, really what's occurring here. And it's giving a score to Dolby Vision of 1500. So if you notice here, sync score 1500. So Notifiarr syncs with this. If you are a patron, again, you have to be a patron. You have to pay for Notifiarr. That's the difference between Notifiarr and another program called RESYNC, which is free, but that's a command line. Notifiarr has this amazing GUI run by Nitsua. But if you look, the sync score is 1500, and then you see something called sync CF. So when I first was a newbie, I thought, okay, I have to hit both of these, and I guess, and when I went to there's a flow chart that selects everything that we covered in the last video with Notifiarr. But it usually does something like this. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I need to have everything check marked. Pretty quickly, I understood that that's not what I need to do. So let's kind of really break down what's occurring here with Notifiarr. For a custom format score like DV-HDR10, let's stick to DV though, Dolby Vision. You tell Radar sync the custom format. What does that mean? Sorry, you tell Notifiarr to tell Radar to sync the custom format. So it means that Notifiarr will constantly sync. It means it will put the custom format into Radar. Okay? And it will sync it to Trash Guide, the source. Let's think of this again. When you check mark it, not only does that mean add this to Radar 4K, this custom format, so that when you look under custom formats, you can see Dolby Vision, right? But it means also sync it to the trash guide. So you go, okay, that's well and fine. Now the right side is really where I was a little confused. Why are there two tabs? If it's syncing either way, why do I have to check mark this and this? What the hell is going on? So that's the thing. The right side is only for the score. Okay. Only for the score. Now you might be thinking, what is a custom format without a score? Isn't the whole point? Even when we looked at, remember when we looked at Dolby Vision, look right here. It says trash score 1500. So what I believe Notifiarr does is it just removes this default aspect and separates it into a separate column. So you can sync the custom format, right? But what it will not add it to any of your quality profiles. So if we look here, what will happen is that once you check mark it, it will show up under custom formats, but when you look under your quality profile list, it will not be there. Why? Why isn't it there? Well, actually, let me correct that. Sorry, quick correction. It will be there, but it will have a score of 0. So what's a score of 0? Well, if you go to Notifiarr, Notifiarr obviously has a little README as well. But again, I feel some things are better visual. Notifiarr says that anything that's a 0 will simply not be taken into account. So for this profile, 1080p, 720p, it's never going to distinguish Amazon, an Amazon Web DL release from an Apple TV release of the same show. So a good example I can think of that's more recent is True Detective, right? It's on HBO Max, right? And it's also on Amazon. So if we look, HBO Max is 0, Amazon's 0. So these custom format scores are having zero effect on which release your radar is going to grab once it starts to search for the show you added. And only when you click one of these, Only when you click it and you sync. And again, remember from the Notifiarr video, once you make all your options, you must hit the save all command, and that will put you in a queue and it will start syncing all your stuff. But let's go back to Dolby Vision. So if I were to choose Ultra HD, all of a sudden, if I were to choose HD 720p, 1080p, and I hit save, sync all, suddenly, imagine I open this up, but all of a sudden, right? Imagine I open it up and I look at the list and I go, okay, let's see what it's determining. Okay, Blu-ray tier, so it's being selective on the groups it's taking from. For the web, same thing. If there's a web thing, it will, grab from a specific group. Oh, what's this? Dolby Vision. Huh. It doesn't really make sense. HDR for 1080p, 720p, you will never really see that. But it can happen. I believe there's a group called BD Remux that do HDR on top of a 1080p from a 4K. So it's a 1080p encode. It's very rare, but there's a special trash profile called special quality profile, which is very niche. And again, if I didn't cover that special, I do believe I did not cover special quality profiles for trash. There might be another video, but it's just separate niche quality profiles. It's not really that applicable. Profiles for streaming only, only grabbing the special 2160 downscale to 1080p encodes with Dolby Vision on them, stuff like that. Anyways, so now Dolby Vision will say 1500. And you go, great. Wow. So it's syncing the score to, and not only is it syncing it to your thing, but it's always constantly checking trash. So when you scroll down, you can see here on Notifiarr it says trash sync. And so as a patron, I put weekly. I don't want daily. I just don't. I do have instant sync checked because I don't want to have to constantly access Notifiarr to do that. I want it to take care of it itself. So your client would automatically go into, as soon as a change is made by trash, it will put your client in queue instead of waiting for the interval. So again, I believe then the interval doesn't really matter. I guess mine is instant sync. I might have to ask Nitsu on that, and I'll probably put that in the description. But I believe if you do instant sync, then the interval, it doesn't matter. But if you get rid of it, then the interval applies. So it's up to you. You can just, do it down to 15 minutes, or you could just try instant sync, which is what I just did. But I also set the weekly just in case. Now, all is good and all, but I noticed, let me give you an example of something that happened to me. And this is going to clarify something that I really think is super important when it comes to truly understanding and mastering what Notifiarr's custom format trash guide sync stuff means. So there's a sync tab. And so when I added onto my Sonar, I know I'm in Radar, but bear with me. When I added onto my Sonar True Detective, right, with Jodie Foster in the new season, it grabbed HBO Max. And I was like, well, now that's weird. Why did it do that? It grabbed HBO Max. And I'll kind of tell you why it did that. Let me just kind of set it up. Ignore what's happening until I'm ready for you guys. But it basically, when I checked in, let's say this was the Sonar Ultra HD profile, right? When I was in Sonar looking, I'm like, hey, what happened here? Why did it only grab that? I noticed that for some reason, the Amazon was lower than HBO Max. And I believe this is perhaps due to Trash Guide setting it lower. Now, let me verify this. Let's learn together here. Let me also figure out what's happening here. So Amazon, let's see, WebDL value 7, okay? And then I believe this is HBO Max, value 7, value 8. Oh, HBO, here we go, HBO Max, value 7, value 8. Well, I'm not too certain what happened, but all I know, or let's take a look at Notifiarr, actually. Because all I know is it did not grab what I thought it would. So in any case, I had to check the scores. And really what occurred was, I do recall that HBO Max was set higher. In fact, let's just, though I changed it now, but let's see. I may not have changed it on the 4K side. So let's do that. Let's check out the 4K side of SONAR. And let's see if because I didn't edit the 4K side, but let's take a look at what happened here. Yeah, look at this. HBO Max is 80, Amazon is 70. That's what this is. Okay, this is exactly what I was seeing. Again, HBO Max is 80, Amazon 70. I'm going, well, what the? And Max is 90. So I'm not sure the difference in Max, H Max. I don't know what's happening with that. Max is here. And then that's weird. So maybe there was a change. Oh, no, right there. And there's H Max. So let's take a look at what's going on here. H Max and Max. These are two separate from the Wikipedia. Okay, HBO Max. And then Max. Okay, so I'm not too entirely sure what the deal is here. But really, the custom format score for that, and let's just check SONAR real quick. It's not always defined under the custom format score, right? I'm looking for the default value. But if we go to how to set up quality profiles, let's take a look at what the actual values are according to Trash here. So Trash says by default, yes. Can't adjust it. Amazon 70 and HBO Max is 80. I'm not sure why that is, but I find that Amazon web DLs are a lot better than that. So this is where me and Trash disagreed. And I realized that if I were to, how do I go about updating that without, I know that there's a lot of sync going on, and this is where it finally clicked to me. Let's just close this because I keep opening the client up. This is where this whole thing it finally synced up with me. So when I realized I wanted to change the Amazon score, I noticed that under SONAR's sync thing, even though, right, Amazon was checkmarked. So Amazon was checkmarked. Let's just pretend like this. Even though it says radar, pretend it says SONAR. Amazon was checkmarked for sync CF and also sync score. What it means is, in order for me to change the Amazon score, I don't want to just go in here and just bump it up to like 110 so that all of a sudden, no matter what, my media server from SONAR is always going to grab Amazon. Because what's going to end up happening is it might work until Notifiarr resyncs with the server, right? Or something. And I need to ask the developer on this, and I'm not entirely sure, but I believe it does automatic updates to your server on a certain interval, probably is my guess. And I'll probably update this into the description as well. But you can't just change that, because the minute something happens with Trash Guide, it will resync the score. Because look here, sync score, you said, okay, yes, resync it no matter what I do. So anything that you do on SONAR radar side will get overwritten by Notifiarr. Does that make sense? So if I were to just do 110, it might work for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll go back to 70 underneath HBO Max. So this is where Notifiarr, you have two options here, And this is from the Notifiarr dev Nitsuo himself. Two options you can do. You can, good Lord, I lost it. You can simply, oh, come on. Oh boy, okay. All right, guys, I'm going to have to scroll all the way back up. Try and find the friggin', okay. You have two options. Good Lord. You can either uncheck the profile. Okay, you can uncheck it. And see, when I asked, and I was confused. I was like, but if I uncheck it, then what the hell? Why? What is this tab for? Because then wouldn't it? And that's the thing. The right side is only for the scores, and the left side is only for the cards that are underneath here. They're just definitions. Without the thing on the right, there will just be 0. So once you change it how you want to change it, you can uncheck the right side, and you can, instead of hitting save all, you can hit this little disk, save the sync state, which only saves for this specific custom format. Remember, these are all custom format names with sync scores, sometimes listed after, and a sync CF, which is not about syncing it to your radar instance or sonar instance. It's about well, it is, but it's also about syncing it to the trash guide. So initially, when you first start and you try to add all these things, you use sync custom format, it will create the cards for you. Now, if you were to do sync custom format and just hit the scores, nothing will happen because you need to have this check mark for the scores to apply. So just something to note. That could happen. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure something fishy will happen there. But you can uncheck mark it and hit save. What that's going to do is it's going to tell, Notifiarr, hey, don't sync the score. Don't touch my damn Amazon thing. Keep it as a custom format, but don't touch my scores. And so that's how you can unlink the syncing from the score. So this is something I really wanted to cover because I didn't cover this at all in the trash guide, and I wasn't even sure that, I didn't run into a situation like that where I, didn't want to follow the trash guide exactly. But you can, that's option 1. Another option is you go under scores, okay? You don't have to do it within the quality, within the profile cards if you don't want to. You can just have Notifiarr be the primary score giver and handler, meaning, even if the sync option is enabled for the score, let's say even if the right side of Amazon or whatever is enabled on these on the sync score side, Notifiarr will always verify with scores and, instance 1, instance 2, right? Because I have 2 instances of radar and 2 instances of sonar. So because we're under the radar tab, it's showing me both instances. And from the quality profile, I can see instance 1 says HD, instance 1 is Ultra HD, Instance 2 is, gosh, actually I can't really tell. Okay, instance 1, okay, as shown here, is radar HD. Okay. Instance 2 is radar HD, radar 4K. Gosh, is radar 4K. Apparently I have a Blu-ray 1080p anime thing on there on the 4K one. I have to fix that. Let me check just, in case, but let's just check it because apparently I'm so smart. I put a Blu-ray 1080. What the hell? No, I don't have one. Wow, that's weird. Oh, yeah. Gosh, I'm seeing double. Second one is my HD. Second one is HD. First one is Ultra HD. That's right. Okay. Oh, boy. So, radar HD. And, you can check mark, okay, I want you to, sync this one, this 1080-bit, 10-bit, I want you to sync it. I have this check marked, or actually, it's whatever you have syncing for the scores is check marked. So all of these scores, we're saying, yeah, check mark it. But if you want to just multiply, you can just say, okay, multiply that by 5. So all of a sudden, the new value will be 5 times 25, right? So again, multiplier will just multiply by the trash. So 5 times 1300, it'll be whatever that is. Or You can set that to 0. You could do this right here. And you could say, okay, always make that anime BD tier 6000. So I'm not sure if you don't want to uncheck this. Keep that check mark, may as well. But end of the day, I think use a custom score. What does this one say? This one just says sync. So you can try uncheck marking and seeing if that works, or you could check mark. So in my case, I would just leave them both check marked. And again, I would do it this way, 6000. So this way, anything that's happening, it will sync that up. And then you go all the way down and you save. And that will save them across all of them. So those are 2 ways to customize the scores of your custom format cards within Notifiarr. And it's a great way to really understanding what the hell Notifiarr is doing in terms of the trash guide sync integration setting module. I was not really sure at all about it. I was using it, but, again, didn't really click until this happened. Hope this helped you guys. Take care. Catch you next time.